If you think of strategic coach, it's this expanding universe of thinking tools where there's a central concept called unique ability. An individual has a unique ability. I think you're born with this, but the world around you wasn't invented to support your unique ability. You have to spend your life negotiating with the world what you do really well, what you love doing, what other people find valuable. You got to negotiate with the world. You got to figure out a business model for what you do for a living. And that's what strategic coach is. So it's a series of thinking tools, and we're up to 250 now after 35 years. We've gotten 30 patents in the last year. And I'm very influenced by my philosophical readings, Plato, going back to the Greeks and everything else. I'm actually a modern day philosopher. I think I'm a philosophic kind of
Is
person.
that your unique ability?
Yeah, I think enabling other people to think about their thinking is my unique ability. And I get great joy out of it. When you're in the workshop, Stephan, and I ask questions and you're sitting there and I'm watching you writing, and then we have frequent breakout groups where you talk about what you're writing. I never know what you wrote down, but I can tell by your excitement, I can tell by your energy that your thinking was good for you. And that's my joy. My joy is that you were thinking about it one way, it wasn't working for you. I've provided a new thinking tool that if you use it, now you're very excited about what's happening, and that's my reward. That's very philosophical. I'm not selling meat packets.
Oh, yeah, it's very meta.
I remember Ray Kurzweil. I was at a conference a dozen years ago, and he was making his usual singularity prediction. When all the technologies come together, they'll be much more intelligent than human intelligence. And I went up to him at the break and I said, when you're talking about human intelligence, are you talking about consciousness? And he says, nobody knows what consciousness is. I think it has something to do with human thinking. I think it has something to do with human intelligence. And one of the things, this has been a pet project of me, and it's much easier to do today because of search engines and because of the AI. There's been no progress made in the last 40 years on understanding human consciousness. There's zero. People who are in that scientific area, develop psychology and neuroscience and everything else, they've made absolutely no headway in the last 40 years. They don't know what consciousness is. But we wouldn't be having this podcast. You weren't conscious and I wasn't conscious.
And then there's the collective unconscious too, where we're connected. I think you're a fan of Carl Jung, right?
Carl Jung was a pleasure to read because I think he was a very benevolent spirit. He wanted well for the human race. He was really interested in people's sense of well-being, about how they were living their life. And I'm that way. I truly do want the best for whoever I'm working with.
So Carl Jung came up with not just the collective unconscious as a concept, but the concept of synchronicity. Mm-hmm. How do you see synchronicity showing up in your life?
I was thinking of this, what I would say this in really good theatrical performances, the really good musical performances. It's quite amazing of what 1,000 people in an audience will get into the same dimension. And it's different from listening to music alone or watching theatrical performance. I was in London about a month ago, and we went to see Barry Manilow. He's 81, so he's a year older than me. He's been on stage for 46 years. He wasn't always a singer. He was a songwriter, and then he became very famous for his songs for other people. And then at a certain point, he's got a good voice and he's a good musician. And he put out an album that was famous and he became famous. But one of the things, Stephan, that really amazed me is the relationship that he has with his audience. So this was a theater in London called the London Palladium, which is a very famous theater. And his very first big concert when he was in his 30s was at the London Palladium. So this was the first time he was back in 46 years. But what struck me about it was that he's got fans who've probably seen him 100 concerts. And so when you walk in the door, they give you a glow stick. And the way it works is that when he sings a fast song, everybody in the audience stands up and sings the song with him. When it's a slow song, you sit down and you listen to him. And he's got this completely worked out relationship with his audiences. And I said, what an amazing trick he does. But I hadn't really paid attention to his music at all. I recognized the music. I've heard the music. I just didn't know it was Barry Manilow. But one of the things that really struck me is just this amazing oneness about the audience, both their reason for being there, their participation in the songs and everything like this. And what I've said is that even though we're individuals and we're very complicated, we're very complex, you could study one human being forever and you wouldn't get to the bottom of what makes that person unique. We do have this ability at certain moments to just join in with other human beings as if we're one entity.